Well, we found out today that Donald J. Trump does not have immunity. And that means a lot of things. It means that the insurrection and his role in insurrection, he can be charged for. I don't know what the Supreme Court is going to do. I feel as though the Supreme Court should not take Donald's appeal. There is zero substance in his argument, and the appellate court spent 57 pages to make sure that was readily apparent. Supreme Court can choose not to listen, and that is the end of it. If they do, it also solves the problem of them not getting directly involved, which would be very bad for, say, someone like Justice Thomas, whose wife was actively involved in 2020. Strict constructionalists, which is what Donald Trump put on the Supreme Court, would not find in favor of him anyway. And if they did, it wouldn't be good. The immunity aspect means that, because his argument was simple, that he would have the right to use SEAL Team 6 to kill political rivals, and he would not be held accountable for that unless he was found guilty by the Senate through impeachment. And considering that Donald Trump, both times, when he was impeached, the Senate left it open so the courts could decide. Well, the courts have decided. Donald J. Trump does not have immunity, which means that we might get the March 3rd date moved up to maybe the middle of March, which means we could probably also get this case going before the election. Stormy Daniels is going to be talking this month. We're going to have, in less than 30 days, the people in Georgia talking. And Georgia's going to be live on television. So when Kenneth Cheeseborough and Mark Meadows, who are both in the circle, start talking about things, it'll be heard by everyone. And this makes me wonder what the GOP is going to do with Nikki Haley. Donald Trump without immunity is a much less strong candidate than he was yesterday, and he wasn't very strong then. Does the GOP pivot now that Donald Trump is without immunity, his concept of immunity? The first thing that Gerald Ford did was pardon Richard Nixon for his crimes, which included, increasing the Vietnam War. How many Americans died? How many Vietnamese died? Wiped away by Gerald Ford. Donald Trump is guilty of crimes. He's guilty of the insurrection. It's already been reported in Colorado for that. So now it gets interesting. Will the GOP and the Jesus Weasel, Mike Johnson, still continue to follow Donald Trump now that it's less and less likely he might actually be the nomination for president? Without immunity, and if his case goes forward in March or at the beginning of April, he might be convicted before the election. If that happens, 30% of the people in Iowa, which are 60% of the Republicans there, are evangelical Christians, so they wouldn't vote for him if he had a felony. And that number was higher in New Hampshire, which has a very small evangelical Christian contingent. I don't know what's going to happen. The GOP and the Freedom Caucus is taking their marching orders from Donald Trump, which is a bad decision. But if Donald Trump isn't going to be the nomination, it's even worse, because the GOP has to run. And they got nothing to run on. What effective legislation did they get done last year under Kevin McCarthy and the Jesus Weasel? I'll wait. Did they get the CHIPS Act done? Infrastructure bill? Earn income credit? No, that was all stuff done by the Democrats. The GOP has got nothing to run. And all the stuff that was accomplished in the first half under Nancy Pelosi, GOP members are already trying to run on that. They're running on getting the internet to Alabama. Tommy Tuberville was doing that. He voted against it. And fortunately, the people who run social media in the White House have been calling out the GOP on their hypocrisy. But I really don't know what's going to happen. Donald Trump is going to start spending a lot more time in court, and it's not going to be good. Thursday is going to be the announcement from New York about the $370 million. He's already been found guilty for that. It's just how much. That's real money, plus the $83 million for E. Jean Carroll. That's a $500 million. Even if he has $1 billion, now he's got half. That is a serious and huge amount of damage to Donald Trump. It also means he cannot do what he does with attorneys this month because he can't afford to pay them. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump spent $20,000 to hire false union workers for that little display, and he put it down so people can call him out on it. He wasn't speaking to union members during the strike. When Biden was, he was speaking to people he paid for. They even bought them pizza. What is the GOP running on? Hurting women, no female sovereignty, voter suppression. In my state, they've taken over 1.2 million people off the roll. Preponderance of guns. It's open carry in my state. It has been since Ron DeSantis decided to do that at night when no one else was there except the NRA. Attacking Social Security and Medicaid. Ron DeSantis took 260,000 people off the state of Florida's Medicaid while money was available. Education. The GOP is perpetually attacking education. They're trying the voucher thing again in Florida, stealing money from education. Florida's citizens put $2,000 a year towards their education. The Department of Education puts $8,000. And by the way, 167 congressmen and women in the GOP voted against the Department of Education. What's the GOP doing for you? I'm just kind of curious. Please remember that if we don't vote blue, the people like Mike Johnson, Donald J. Trump, and Brendan Tilley will be making decisions about us and our family. And they're not qualified to do so. Donald Trump is going to face a lot of problems coming up, and I'm here for it with popcorn. Remember to vote true and vote blue.